Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where I get to simplify the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 ways that you can add value to your patients. And we'll talk about why this is so important at the moment. Now, if you're thinking about, don't most chiropractors focus on adding value to their patients? Well, I don't know about most of them. Some of them do. A lot of chiropractors are spending a whole bunch of time thinking about themselves and getting their needs met, and they're not focusing on how they can be more valuable. In fact, if you just obsessed over how you can be more valuable to your community, you'd never have to worry about where the next new patient was ever going to come from. You wouldn't have to worry about economic changes up or down. You would have a very healthy practice for as long as you want it to work. It really is as simple as that as well. So we're going to be talking about, now, this conversation today is really on the back of, look, you'll notice recently and around you, and I guess I'm contributing to it with this episode of, are we in for some interesting financial times? The short answer is probably yes. Inflation is continuing to rise. Interest rates are going up. There'll be some changes and stuff that will happen. Now, depending on when we're under times of financial stress, there is a value hierarchy that we all go through where we do an assessment of our lives and we look at the things that we're paying for and we decide what's valuable and what's not. And we tend to cancel the things that aren't valuable. I remember right back when the pandemic first hit and things shut down, I went and did a bit of a reconciliation of all the ongoing expenses that I had, and I canceled a bunch of things. I didn't need to have 4 streaming services. We went back just to Netflix. Mind you, now I've gone back to 4 again. But we do this, we look at what's valuable. And so your patients will absolutely be doing this as well. They will be putting you in that value hierarchy. Now, depending on where you sit in that value hierarchy or that value ladder, that'll very much impact whether that patient continues to come and see you when they're under financial stress or not. This was made first evident to me in my first year or 2 when I was out of practice. My brother from another mother, Tony Rose, was telling a story about a woman who came in to see him as a patient. She had the initial consultation, the report of findings, and Tony shared a vision for chiropractic for her. And she got in her mind in terms of how this could be valuable for a whole family as well. Talked to Tony about it, and he said, absolutely, this could be beneficial for your whole family. Then she disappeared. And Tony didn't think much about it, really. And sometimes we have patients that disappear, and particularly when we're new in practice, we don't do a great job communicating with them. Anyway, she turned up back in his practice a couple of months later, and she came back and she had a wad of cash. She handed all the cash over and she said, my family and I are ready to begin chiropractic care with you. And Tony said, what happened? She said, well, I saw the value of what you said. I realized I didn't have the money for it. She said, I went back and worked out how could I get the money, and we had a big garage sale, and we've earned enough money from that garage sale to pay for a year of chiropractic care for my family and I. And as she saw the massive value in it, as a part of that, she used her intuition. Intuition, that's not probably it. Anyway, she got really clever about where to get some money from, is what she did. There's a better word for that. For those of you listening will know the word I was searching for. And so she saw value in it, so she worked really hard to get the cash. We want to, first, it starts with this. You have to see yourself as incredibly valuable as well. Now, the first question I want to ask you is, what kind of problems are you solving? Are you solving big problems or small problems? Because big problems are much more valuable. When you can solve a big problem, they're much more valuable to people than solving small problems. I want to read a little story to you, a poem maybe it is there too. It doesn't rhyme. So do poems have to rhyme? I don't think they do. Anyway, it goes like this. For the want of a nail, a shoe was lost. For the want of a shoe, a horse was lost. And for the want of the horse, a rider was lost. For the want of the rider, a message was lost. And for the want of the message, the battle was lost. And for the want of the battle, the kingdom was lost. And all that for the want of a horse, shoe, nail. Now, I wonder if this story was written by a blacksmith who was wanting to tell their customers that they solved big problems, not small problems. So how is it that we position our practice as chiropractors, that we're solving big problems, not small problems? Now, for many of you, this might be straightforward and easy and you're jumping ahead of me, but there are 4 value drivers I want to share with you that these tend to work across any markets. In fact, any highly valued item tends to be having an impact on one of these 4 drivers. And I'm going to tell you what they are first of all, and then we'll go through some examples of them, and then we'll talk about how we implement this into our practice. So these 4 drivers of value are saving money or making people money. Saving time or eliminating wastage is number 2. Number 3 is bringing increased emotional benefits. And number 4 is easing pain, suffering, or negative emotions. The more you can show your patients that by coming to see you and to get care with you, that you are impacting one of those 4 emotional drivers, the more valuable you'll be. The more valuable you are when it comes time for them to assess their finances, the less likely they will be to wanting to stop coming to see you again. So those 4 value drivers again, okay? Saving money or making people money. 2, saving time or eliminating wastage. Number 3, bringing increased emotional benefits. And number 4, easing pain, suffering, or negative emotions. Now, most of us as chiropractors very obviously jump for the 4th one. We're pretty good at communicating to our patients or having our patients realize why coming in to see us might help ease pain, suffering, or negative emotions. But even still, we will talk about how we can even make that of more value to them. So have a think about it for a moment. How is it that your care saves somebody money or makes them money? Okay, let me share a story with you. In my early years in practice, I had a patient come in to see me who was a concert pianist. Beautiful, beautiful pianist. Now, he came in to see me because he had a cranky neck, because I spent a lot of time at the piano. And he had a few adjustments. And within the first week or two, it was very early on in care, he said to me, "Angus, I've got a question for you. This might sound a bit strange." He said, "But since you've been adjusting me," he says, "I feel like there's better connection between my hands and my brain. I feel like I can play the piano just even more effortlessly. I feel like there is a flow that's happening that wasn't there beforehand. Is that crazy, or could your adjustments be helping with that?" And obviously, I'd not done a great job of explaining chiropractic in the early visits there too. And I answered with a hell yes. And we spoke a little bit about the connection between his brain and hands and innate intelligence and how that would be better flowing as well. Now, as a result, after his neck pain went, which it does often, people's symptoms then, he continued to come back and see me on a regular basis because he knew that the chiropractic care helped him be a better piano player. And that was his job. The better piano player he was, the more money he was able to make, or the more consistently he was able to get work. And so this had nothing to do going onwards, anything to do about pain at all. He saw chiropractic as something that helped to make him money. I was chatting with some community influencer members a couple of weeks ago about this, and Michelle told a story about a builder that came in to see her on the Monday who was doubled over in pain and discomfort and had a huge week of work that he needed to get done. Michelle worked with him, did the wonderful work that we do as chiropractors. When he was back in on the Friday, he was singing her praises because he was able to get his work done, okay? The work that Michelle did, not only did it help him get out of pain, it made him money, okay? It saved him money because he didn't have to employ other people to do it as well. So think about it. Does the work that you do, are there less sick days? And so therefore, if somebody's at work sick less, how does that impact their finances? Of course it goes up. If there's less discomfort, are they able to be more productive at work? If they're more productive at work, are they much more likely to be paid more, or at least get a raise, a promotion as well? If there's less stress on their body, are they more creative at work? And of course, the answer to these is yes for all of them. But are you having these discussions with people? Are you telling them to look out for these things? I know for me here that the better my body is feeling, and when I'm well adjusted there too, the ability for me to be able to create content like this is a lot easier. When I'm unwell, I'm stressed, I'm subluxated, I don't do these things nearly as well. And of course, there's less money spent on care that's ineffective, and whether that be medication, doctor's visits, supplements of things that they were taking that weren't addressing the underlying cause of the problem. When you're adjusting somebody and they're not having to spend money on that, you're saving them money as well. Most of our patients will talk about that when they're getting adjusted, they have more energy. Now, we will talk about how that might save them time down the track there too, but if they've got more energy, they can work more and more effectively. So these are all ways that the things that you and I do as chiropractors that actually help to save somebody money or make them money as well. Now, we'll talk about at the end. These things are happening whether you're talking about it or not. But if you're not connecting them and making the person aware of them, then we're not linking the value in there together. They're thinking that, maybe I'm just having a good month at work, or, my energy's a bit better, but I'm not sure why. But you needed to tell them in advance, I want you to watch out for these things, because what I notice is that typically when my patients get adjusted, they're more creative. And as a graphic designer, your creativity is really important. You might find that you have better ideas and that you get work done with greater ease and your efficiency improves. Can you watch out for those things and let me know? These are the sorts of conversations that you should be having with your patients and really linking it back into how your work as a chiropractor can help to save them money or make them money. Now, the next question, the value driver there is how does your care save time or eliminate wastage? Craig, one of the great community influencer members, was telling a story about a patient of his who related again. There's another neck pain patient. He said, Craig, as a general rule before coming to see you, the first 2 hours of my day were just me starting to try and warm up. The discomfort was so much, it took 2 hours of my day just to get started. And since I've been seeing you for my adjustment, I leap out of bed and I'm ready to go immediately. So he's bought this guy 2 extra hours of productive time because of the care that he's delivered, okay? And then we could link that more productive time back to work as well, too. Of course, we know a healthy body is more productive. We get more done in less time. We spend less time doing things that were inefficient and ineffective. Maybe there was a bunch of different practitioners they were seeing before coming to see you, and they don't need to anymore. And so what you're doing is you're helping them to save time and eliminate wastage. When the body feels better, we make less mistakes. Okay, I was talking about this beforehand as well. So if we're making less mistakes, we get through our work with greater ease. There's more spare time at the end of the day to do the things maybe we want to be doing as well. On top of this too, they're not needing to take extra medications and supplements. So there's less wastage as far as that. Now, on this point though, I also want to remind you of the importance that you're not wasting time of your patients, i.e. when they come and see you, is there easy car parking? Is it a simple process for them to come through and get for their adjustment? Do you keep them waiting for a long time beforehand? Do your adjustments take a long time? These are all things that someone could start seeing in their mind that this is a waste of time and it works negatively against you. We need to be efficient and effective with what we're doing. And, one of the things, if I've had many a patient come and see me, as a general rule, when I was adjusting a lot in practice, the adjustment was 2 or 3 minutes. And sometimes a patient would come in and see me and say, well, look, my last chiropractor used to spend 15 or 30 minutes with me. And then, I would often say, look, one of the benefits of the adjustment here is that we're really efficient. You'll have more time to be spending time with the people that you want to, rather than having to hang out in the chiropractic office as well. We're very efficient because we value your time. So we painted the picture of that efficient adjustment in terms of the benefit for them. Okay, now the other way we can communicate, if you spend more time, there's a way that you can sell the benefit of that also. So they're all strategies about how the work that we do as chiropractors actually helps to save people time and decrease wastage. Now, how does your care, onto the next one, deliver greater emotional benefits than maybe other products? Now, in order to be linking in and using this value driver here, I think one of the things that you need to be doing is you need to be getting to what I often refer to as the goal under the goal. Let me tell you a story. I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but it's perfect to tell you here. This was another real aha moment for me about 10 years in as a chiropractor. I had a lovely lady come in, and I remember looking through her form, and I'd not really stopped to ever ask this question beforehand, but she came in with some lower back pain. And when I asked, how long have you had this for? She said 10 years. And there's part of my brain that went, this is interesting. You've had this for 10 years. Why are you seeing me now? And I asked her that question. Now, sometimes when you ask this question to people, the answer they will often say is because it's worse now, or it's slowly getting worse over time there too. But this woman's answer really was very enlightening and eye-opening for me. The reason I'm coming to see you now is that the back pain has got so bad that I'm unable to walk with my husband anymore. We've got a young family and we're both very busy professionals. And the highlight of my day is in the evening when things settle down and my husband and I get to go for a walk and we connect. And that's the most important part of my day. And now my back is so sore that I can't do that anymore. What I realized when she told that story is that the reason she was coming in to see me was not to get rid of her back pain. The reason she was coming in to see me is because she wanted to walk with her husband. That was the emotion behind it. That was the goal behind the goal. What I realized at this stage, I'm a slow learner, is that when I was communicating with her from that moment on, all of the communication was not about getting rid of her back pain, but it was about getting her back to walking with her husband again, keeping her walking, and then preventing a relapse of this happening again. Now, as a result of me being able to communicate what I was doing, the greater emotional benefits of my care there too, she became a really great chiropractic patient, followed through with her care, loved chiropractic, saw it as something incredibly valuable for her because I was able to talk to her about the increased emotional benefits. So you must get to the goal behind the goal. Why do they want their problem to be gone? What are they wanting to be able to do that they can't do at the moment? What new opportunities would open up for them because of their care? When we can communicate in this, when we can share the greater emotional benefits that happen because of what you do, not just the lack of pain, but the new life that opens up to them, then you become increasingly more valuable to them and you are solving a bigger problem rather than a small problem. And then, of course, the last one here to touch on is how does your care ease pain, suffering, or negative emotions? Now, of course, with this, there's really obvious ones that we talk to, but don't just talk about getting rid of their pain. What are they, again, what things were they worried about? You know, one of the things that I would often say to when patients are coming to us often with any form of discomfort, our mind often goes to the very worst. Do I have cancer? Is there something else going on? You know, will this be debilitating in the future? You know, they imagine a future where them being able to, or not being able to do things that are important to them, where they're crippled. And so I like to, from time to time, remind them of all the things that are not happening because of the care they're doing. How we're not only easing the pain, but we're easing and moving away from a negative future where maybe there was chronic pain. Maybe they weren't able to do the things they wanted to as well. So, you know, what things have been prevented? Possible surgery, you know, the anxiety and the worry about, you know, ongoing problems. So this fourth value driver here tends to be one that is often in the wheelhouse for us as chiropractors. We're good communicating about too. Now, this takes some practice, okay? So, and it should begin literally after you're listening to this with the next person that you're adjusting, is to think about how can you obviously link the adjustment that you're about to do or you've just done to showing them how that helps them make or save money, increases time or decreases wastage, or gives them access to greater emotional benefits, or how does it move them away from pain? Now, don't just suffer on the pain one, okay? That's very easy for us. The more of these emotional values that you can link to your care, the more valuable you'll be, the more you'll be up that ladder. So you'll be the very last thing that they want to stop doing if the financial times get difficult. Now, this will take some practice. It really will. Watch and see what works. Start to practice maybe with the staff inside of your practice as well. How can you link this in to making sure their care is more valuable? And this should be done in around all things. Again, at a community influencer office hours. And this is, you know, I'm going to do some self-promotion for a moment here. So twice a week on Community Influencer, I open up for office hours. It's a Zoom call. You jump on any challenges that you're having to do with your marketing or your mindset. If you've got a bit of stinking thinking, if you're stuck somewhere, we jump on and we solve that problem. One of the members on there was talking about they have new patient times and they have these at a couple of times throughout the day, and they set aside these times because if they don't set them a time, they get filled with other appointments. What this does mean is that often there's a level of rigidity in around when a patient rings up because they've got a time at 10 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I don't know exactly what the times are, but let's just say that's what the times were. And so he said, I want to be able to communicate in a way that makes these times more valuable. How do I do that? So we brainstormed back and forwards. You know, the front desk staff could be saying things like this, you know, Dr. Jason has new patient times at 10 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And they might say, look, those times don't really work for me because of work. You know, is there any other times? And this is where the CA has the opportunity to start really communicating in value. They could come back and say, listen, we set aside these times for our new patients because Dr. Jason is incredibly busy. Otherwise, they get filled with his other adjustment times there as well. It's a full 45-minute visit there too. He's going to find out exactly what's going on for you so he can begin care as soon as possible. Now, beginning care as soon as possible is saving somebody time, okay? This means that we can start to get you some relief as soon as possible as well. So these times here, once he knows what's going on, ultimately will help to save you a whole bunch of money because he gets to the bottom of what's going on. So in this way here, we've communicated that he's going to spend this chunk of time. It's 45 minutes. He's going to find out what's going on today. He'll begin his adjustment today if he has all the information there too. So coming in at this time is actually going to get you to where you want faster. It's going to save you time, okay? And if he can do all of this in this one visit to start with, it'll save follow-up appointments to getting to the bottom of this as well. Now, there'll be ongoing care, obviously, so it'll save you money as well. And it'll start to get you some relief as soon as possible as well. And that has somebody move away from pain and negative emotions. So we want to practice being able to link these value drivers to all of our communications, from having somebody, be on a consistent schedule, to stopping them from missing appointments, to maybe them making a schedule in advance, and of course them following through with their care. So it will take some practice, but like anything, with a bit of practice, you'll soon become perfect with it. So folks, if you want to be more valuable, then first of all, start solving big problems, not little ones. And the way you solve big problems is by linking it to one or as many of those 4 value drivers as possible. That's it for this episode. As always, folks, thanks for all that you do. Your community really needs you right now more than ever. Hey, I'm feeling super loved up at the moment. I also want to let you know, I love you all lots. Thanks for listening to the podcast. And while I'm doing that too, if you haven't given me a little review on whichever podcast platform you listen to, can I ask a favor? Can you do that for me? It helps me reach a better quality guest. It helps me reach more people, which is part of my mission. I've got a mission here to have a bunch of us chiropractors sharing really good quality messages out with our community. I think it will be, I know it's what our communities need right now. And something as simple as you, as soon as you finish this episode, just giving me a review really helps. I'd appreciate it. All right, folks. Love you. See you soon. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.